always against me. Seems like this is never ending, but I refuse to let it end me. Mentally, spiritually, physically, I need my peace. I need my peace. Oh, I wake up every morning and tell myself,
Good morning, gorgeous.
sometimes you gotta look in the mirror and say,
Ah,
good morning, gorgeous. No one else can make me feel this way. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous. All the times that I hated
greetings,
myself, all the times that I wanted to be
Alexa,
so.
volume 2. Greetings, kings and queens of the Most High God. I am Sister Femi, and I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening to you. Good afternoon, good morning. Whenever you get on here, it's evening for me, so I'm just going to acknowledge you in whatever time span you watch this. I want to say welcome to Chronicles of a Broken Churchgirl with me, Sister Femi, where we talk about the realness about healing in your spirit, mind, and your soul. So today's episode, I'm going to get into it because today's episode is talking about built, not broken. How relationships can strengthen and not shatter you. So often and so many times we find ourselves in situations where we have to question that. So as we go through this episode today, I want to talk to you about some things that I understand in my experiences, in my studies, and just also from talking to other people. What's most important when you're getting into relationships, when you're meeting people, when your energies are linking, when your spirits are getting to know one another, if you will, in a passing phase, or whether you're doing some level of intertwining. Okay, we're going to get into that. And what I want to do, I always like to start my podcast off with a little bit of prayer, because prayer goes a long way. Heavenly Father, hey, beautiful. I'm glad you're here. Greetings to you, greetings to you, greetings to you. We're about to get into some prayer. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, precious Creator, I thank you for this day. As always, I thank you for the use of technology. I bless your name for allowing us to see this day. I thank you for your new grace and your new mercies upon our lives. I thank you for this podcast that you blessed me to be able to move forward in. I ask that you be in my presence, and knowing that you're an omnipresent God, that you're going to be in every household that is on here tonight that's represented. I want you to be there, Lord. I want you to bless. I want you to bless, and I need you to bless some more. Continue to dwell with us as we move forward in understanding how it is to do this thing we call life. It's in Jesus' awe-inspiring name I pray. Ashe, amen, amen. All right. Happy Black History Month to y'all. Let's start there. Let's double start there. Happy Black History Month to you. It's a beautiful thing to be blackity black on the black hand side. Okay? So we're going to get started. All right? We're going to get started. I want to say welcome to everybody that is here. Okay, welcome to everybody that's here. Thank you for spending your time here with me, Sister Femi, here at Chronicles of a Broken Church Girl, where we talk about things. We get messy, we get real, and we talk about it because we want everybody to walk in healing. We don't want people to walk around not being healed. Okay, we want everybody to find their healing some kind of way. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I bless God for your presence. So let's get into this. So this particular podcast is talking about relationships being relationships, instead of being broken behind certain relationships, learning how to build up ourselves behind these relationships. Because every relationship that we are interacted, that we come across, that we're allowed, they are not to all break us. Okay, they're not to all break us and break us down. A lot of them, even though we find ourselves in broken spaces, they are to help us build up. Thank you for sharing, thank you for liking, and thank you for subscribing this podcast. Okay, so I want to talk about I had a relationship that I want to talk about, that I wanted to bring to the forefront today, okay? Because it was one, as a woman, I was 30 years old, and it was a different type of situation for me because I'd never really lost a friendship before, especially not one that I invested in. And it was funny because I had met this young lady. Let me give you a little short snippet of it. I met this young lady. I started out as her hairdresser. Yeah, for those of y'all who don't know, I used to hustle hair back in the days, okay? I started out as her hairdresser, and we became friends, right? And in becoming friends, I used to go to her house because that was my hustle. I would go to your house, do your hair. Back in the days, it was $40. You was getting the Janet Jackson braids, $40, $50. Trust me, that's what it was back then, right? So I would go over there and I would see her have different people around her, and I would see how she would treat different people. But for me, I never thought, she was going to ever bring that my way. And then I was working with the developmentally disabled at the time in their home, and I wanted to shift my profession. I didn't want to just be there anymore. I wanted to shift to something a little bit more challenging. Even though that was a very heartfelt industry, I just needed something to work the mindset a little bit more. And she happened to be working as a receptionist in a law firm, right? So she was going out on medical leave, and she brought me in. Long story short, she brought me in. And what I realized is when she brought me in, she was so used to being the HNIC, okay, in that firm, that when she put me onto this position, they didn't call me because they had already set up a temp. And I ended up coming that Monday because they did call me. The temp left for lunch and she never came back. And I was sitting there answering a 25-line phone for 5 different law firms, all right? So the gist of it is that when she recommended me for this, she did not expect me to actually grow in this particular job, okay? She thought I was going to fail. She thought they were going to be calling her back. But little did she realize who I was, and why would I want to fail if you're recommending me? I'm the kind of person, if you recommend me for something, I'm going to give it top of the line service, no matter what it is, right? So she recommended it for me, and she recommended me to them, and they called me, and I came in, and I was doing the job. I was doing the job so well that they ended up making me they ended up sending me to school. I started as a receptionist. They ended up sending me to school and paying for me to become a paralegal, right? So long story short, going on, she comes back to work, and I'm thinking that me and her are cool. I've been calling her, checking on her and seeing how she was doing. And I'm thinking she and I would be cool, only to see that she had an attitude with me when she came back. When she came back, she had an ugly attitude with me. And I couldn't understand for the life of me why she had an attitude with me, because I hadn't done anything to her. I thought I represented her well, right? Then come to find out that the long story of it all is they wanted to keep the both of us. So it wasn't a matter of her coming back and me leaving. They had invested in me, and they saw that I could do more work with them. So they wanted to keep me and made a position for me to be able to stay. She was not happy about that. She was totally not happy about that. And it blew my mind, because in the process of it blowing my mind, it was hurting my feelings, because I thought she was a friend, right? And then I realized, fam, you had watched this young lady point her barrel at other people and do the things that she did to them. What made you think you were so special that she wouldn't have pointed that barrel at you? And that's exactly what she did. She pointed that barrel at me. And I tell you, it bothered me for about a few days. I ain't gonna say it bothered me for a long time. It bothered me for a few days, because I was able to understand something about that relationship. That relationship was a temporary relationship. And that's one of the things that I think we need to understand, is that every relationship that we come into, oh my God, it was hard. I'll be honest with you. I think it was beyond jealousy. I think it was the fact that she expected me to fail. And that was the thing. I think she expected me to fail. And well, I disappointed her expectations. So that was the part where you have to then say, was she really a friend, or was she really just an associate? And that's where, we have to be able to gauge for ourselves the level of where these relationships are that we find ourselves in, whether they're romantic relationships, whether they're co-working relationships. She was not. That's exactly what that means. She was an associate. She was not a friend, no matter what. And I'm the kind of person that in the Bible, there's a scripture that talks about, in order to have a friend, you got to show yourself friendly. You got to be friendly. And I understood what it takes to be a friend. I know what it takes to be a friend. And I try to be that. Now, sometimes I ain't going to say I'm perfect. I fall short like the next person does. But overall, I believe I'm a good friend to people, even in my younger days, right? So what I realized is that at that point, I was 30 years old. Again, that was my first time ever encountering anything of that dynamic. And it taught me that relationships are there to school you. They are there to school you, whether they're long-term relationships, temporary relationships, or passing by relationships. Because quiet as it's kept, a lot of people don't realize when you're passing somebody, my life experience have led me to conclude that genuine. Listen, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I get it. I get it. I get it. I totally get where you're coming from with that. Okay. And what I found is that even when you're passing somebody, that's a relational, even your energy. I'm somebody who doesn't like crowds. I don't like crowds because spirits are real. Okay. Spirits are real to me. And spirits are real. I have a spirit, you have a spirit. And spirits are real. Spirits that belong to people as well as spirits that jump on and off other people. Okay? I don't care what nobody says, that's real. And so I don't like being in crowds because you have to truly armor yourself for that type of environment because you don't want you don't want any negative energy or spirit jumping on you. You understand what I'm saying to you? I mean, women, we understand it a little bit more when it comes down to, it seems like from 1 second, or I believe that we understand it more, that from 1 second to the next, we find ourselves like 1 minute we're super happy, then we pass through some things, and then before you know it, we got an attitude, and we trying to figure out where this attitude came from. And a lot of times we don't realize spirits can ride you like Jesus rode the donkey into town. Okay? All right. So that's talking about relationships. And one of the core questions I had to ask myself is, are your relationships planting seeds or pulling up your roots? Okay. Are they planting seeds or are they pulling up your roots? And it's important to understand this because, when planting seeds, that's pouring in, not weeds. We talking about, okay, seeds of goodness, seeds of positivity, seeds of love, seeds of kindness. You know what I'm saying? Generosity. When you deal with somebody, like I have a girlfriend, she's so giving that when I'm around her, she makes me want to give. She makes me want to give above and beyond. I have another girlfriend, she's so giddy. She's very giddy and she's a good friend. She's so giddy and it makes me want to be giddy with her. And giddy haha as in good times, not giddy as in stupid, not giddy as in, dumb or whatever, but giddy as in that good feeling, that good energy. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times life is serious, y'all. And life can throw us around and bounce us up against walls. And it's beautiful to have people around you who can be lighthearted sometimes when things are just that heavy on us, right? So here's the thing. The truth about broken relationships. The truth about broken relationships is this. Are you learning from them or are you walking around hurt from them? Okay? Understanding that not all brokenness is bad. It reveals what needs to heal. A lot of times when we get into certain relationships or we have certain relationships, there are things about us that we don't realize needs work. And we get into a relationship, and I can talk about love, interactional relationships between a man and a woman. I can talk about the ones with girlfriends. I can talk about the ones with co-workers. I can talk about the ones we have at church with people that we go to church with, things of that sort. Every relationship, if there's a level of brokenness that you see within there that you found, you'd be surprised that there's something within you that needs to be healed once that situation has happened. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, because what happens is, if you know, like I know, it can make you stronger. It can make you stronger in the long term, in the long run, and you won't be so offended by what somebody did. A lot of times you can look at people and look at situations and forgive them. You can forgive them for whatever part they played, but then you can still turn around and thank them. Okay? You can thank them. You can say to them, hey, listen, you don't even have to verbally say it to them, but you can say it in spirit. I forgive you. I forgive what you made me feel, but in the same token, I thank you, because in that same note, you have now made me have to acknowledge and pay attention to myself, hold myself accountable for whatever it is, whatever emotions, whatever feelings that I had, because even in the Bible, it talks about Proverbs says it, as iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpening iron don't seem like it's ticklish. That really does seem like it might hurt. Okay, I don't know about you, but when I see iron sharpening iron, it do not look like it feels like a good body massage. No, it does not. Okay, it does not. So with that, so there are different things that you can look at, signs that a relationship is tearing you down versus stretching you. Okay, there are some relationships that we get into that they work against us. They work against our reflecting on listen, they work against our self-worth. They work against what we believe about ourselves. They work about our self-confidence. They work against us. Then there's some relationships that we get into that, man, the way that it just pours into us, it makes us stronger. It makes us want to pour out more love to others. It makes us want to become a better person. Those are the kind of relationships that I love. I mean, and I'm not saying those are easy, because I have a girlfriend right now that girl, whenever she says something to me in objection to what I got going on, she just makes me irritated. But then I got to stop and sit and go, you know what? She was right. She was right. You understand what I'm saying to you? But you got to put your, as they say, you got to put your big girl drawers on. You got to put your big boy boxes on. You understand me? So, and that's just so that you can understand how to move forward. Life is not about being stuck. Life is always about growth and moving forward. So these constant relationships that we have, my heart goes out to people who cannot connect with someone. People who tend to be hermits. People who tend to be, I'm an introvert extrovert. My introvert extrovert, or better yet, some people would say extrovert introvert, but I'm just going to say I'm two of them. I'm the equal of the two of them, because I can stay home and be not around a bunch of people. But I like to be out as well. I found that I do like to be out. You understand me? I like to interact with people. I like to pour into people as they pour into me. You understand what I'm saying to you? So those are the things we have to gauge, and that's the plus, and that's the bonus. This is a community. Building relationships is about a community, and we want the healing of our community. How do we do that if we keep finding ourselves shunning away from people because we feel like we're hurt through relationships and not trying to find any healing, but walking around as a victim of that pain, right? I want to say thank you for y'all being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. All right. So the thing that I mentioned a moment ago was about our self-worth. We have to know who we are. It's one thing to know whose we are, but we have to know who we are as we walk around this earth. And a lot of people are walking around lost. A lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, are walking around. And you know what? And I say to you, is that really true? I'm asking you that question because you put that statement out there. Is it really true? Because everyone needs some level. And I'm saying that because even if it's just spiritual attachments, some level, okay? Even some level. So what we want to look at is our self-worth, right? How much do we value ourselves? Do we value ourselves in the level? You see what I'm saying? Do we value ourselves enough to understand where we play at in this world called humanity, in this life that we're walking on a regular basis? And the thing about self-worth determines the relationships we choose and how we allow ourselves to be treated. Okay? And I can say that from somebody, I'm a survivor of abuse, physical abuse. I'm a survivor of various levels of, and that's because it's not so much that I did not value myself. I did not value myself in the way that I should. Okay? A lot of times we don't go to the core of who we are, and we do face value. We do face value. We don't do core spiritual value. We don't do the level of value to understand how we were created and that we didn't necessarily have to be here. We didn't necessarily have to be here. We don't realize how amazing we really are. You understand what I'm saying to you? We sometimes falls short of understanding how absolutely amazing we are. We might say it, but do we really believe it? And our relationships dictate what we really believe about ourselves. Our relationships dictate that right off the bat, right off the cuff. All right. And the way that we can look at this and understand, let's do an auction, not an auction, an audit. Sorry. We need to do an audit on our self-worth. We need to do an audit, and an audit in the sense of we need to set high boundaries. Set high boundaries. We need to avoid settling for less than. Now, I'm going to break this down. When I say set high boundaries, I mean make sure that when you're dealing with people, they give you the level of respect that you're supposed to be getting, and that it's in alignment with the spirit of who you are. If that's falling short, you need to go back to the drawing board and try to understand why you're allowing that. I too, and again, it's so funny because I'm sharing this podcast, but I'm not sharing this podcast because I have it all figured out. I'm sharing this podcast because I too am going through different levels of trying to understand some of the relationships that I've found myself in, and whether or not and what I'm supposed to be doing, what direction they're supposed to be going, and what part am I playing in the relational part of it all. Okay, so I'm sharing this with you for you, but I'm also speaking to myself. So I don't want anybody to ever come on my podcast and believe that what I'm sharing with you, I just got it all made, because that is not the truth to it. Okay? See, and that's the thing. You never want to feel hurt again, but do you really, by avoiding people, do you really feel like you're not being hurt? It may not be hurt in that way, but do you not find yourself possibly finding areas of other hurt, other pain, other suffering? And I'm asking you that because you put that comment out there, okay? I'm asking you that for that reason, all right? But in that, so that's the setting higher standards as to who you are, right? And boundaries. Avoid settling for unhealthy situations. All right. And I know it's easier said than done, because a lot of times we don't know that we're in an unhealthy situation until time has gone on and we realize that we've invested time and we have not, we got to step back and really take a bird's eye look at what's going on for us and with us. Those are things we have to do. All right. And in that, you want to also know, again, you want to know if you need to walk away. You need to know if you're going to walk away if needed. I got you. Ashe. All right. Now, also the third thing when it comes down to relationships and your self-worth, does the relationship promote mutual growth? Are you growing? Is that other person growing? Is your circle growing? Or is it staying stagnant? You engage in relationships that uplift rather than drain. Okay? And I can vouch. I can tell you, being drained in a relationship is not a good thing. Because you can't put your best foot forward. You cannot put your best foot forward if a relationship is draining you. And I'm telling you because from experience, I can tell you this. Okay? Scriptural foundation, I told you, was Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Okay? I truly don't believe that. I truly believe that a circle is necessary. I understand what you're saying, that you don't believe a circle is necessary. I truly believe a healthy circle is necessary. It is definitely necessary. How do you grow in learning how to deal with people and deal with yourself and understand the different nuances to who you are if you have not created some level of a circle? The circle ain't got to be but so big. And when I say circle, I don't mean 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9 people. There are some people who can have a good, healthy, big, rounded circle. And there's some people that only need a circle of 2. There are some people who only need a circle of 1. Hello. But it's still a circle nonetheless. How can it be a circle of 1? Spiritually speaking, you are not on this earth alone. If you have ancestors, you have a creator, you are not on this earth by yourself. No matter what. No matter whether you feel like dealing with people outside or not, you are still not in a circle by yourself. You are in a circle with others. And that right there, Matt. Listen, I'm with you. I am totally with you. And I believe you for what you're standing on. And I discount not your experiences. And I discount no one else's as well. I discount no one else's as well. As I move forward to my 54th year, I totally understand what you're saying. I respect wholeheartedly. My circle is small. My circle is very small. But I thank God for my circle nonetheless, right? So now let's talk about transforming the pain into power. Because there's some people who they still have relationships that they're dealing with, and they're trying to figure out how to transition that pain into a powerful situation for themselves. One thing you have to do for sure is you have to be able to gauge. You have to gauge what kind of relationships you're in. You have to gauge the health factor of your relationship. You need to do a relationship checkup, a relationship tune-up, a relationship checkup, and check it out and see where it's at. Where's the health in your relationship? Is there some illnesses in your relationship? Is it toxic? Are your relationships toxic? Again, these are things that I too am questioning for myself with certain relationships in my life. I have to gauge my relationships at all times, because as I transition up, I don't want to do this. I don't like merry-go-round type situations. I like to go up. I like to move up. I like to move forward. Right? So if you see that you're in a situation that's leaving you stagnant, leaving you still, you need to transition to that next level of going up. It's all about growth factor here. All right? Excuse me. Now, here's the deal. You have to shift your perspective from heartbreak to healing. And why I say that in terms of shifting, when I say that, which is totally understandable, when I say shift your perspective from heartbreak to healing, you have to see it from the level of your interactions. Are they toxic or are they healthy? There are healthy interactions that allow you to grow. Just like I mentioned about my girlfriend that I have, that she and I, we bounce ideas off of each other all the time. And sometimes she rubbed me the wrong way when she's telling me something because she thinks she's my mother, or I think I'm her mother, because that's the thing that we have in common. You understand what I'm saying to you? But at the beginning and the end of the day, it's building us. It builds us because it makes us go back to our drawing board, our proverbial drawing board, and it makes us then turn around and build up and go, you know what? She was right. Let me think about this again and restructure, recalibrate, okay? Recalibrate myself. You see what I'm saying? Thank you so much. Thank you. Recalibrate myself and kind of figure this life out. Because the thing about it is I always want to be constantly growing. I believe in intellectual wisdom. Okay, intellectual wisdom. And I do believe in growing mentally as well as academically and resourcefully. I love having a plethora of resources, right? So what you want to not do is be stuck in a circle, right? So I have one affirmation that I love when I think about this is I am worthy of relationships that reflects God's love and purpose in my life. And that's the thing about accountability partners. I have accountability partners. I have accountability partners that, oh my goodness, they will hold me to it. Now, I have some folks who just let me fly by the seat of my pants. But my accountability partners do not play with me. When I fall short, they be like, but I thought you said you was going to get X, Y, and Z done. And I'll be like, oh. You understand what I'm saying? I thought they be like, I thought you said you was like this podcast. Well, let me tell y'all, this for those of y'all who did not see my first episode, my launch. Yes, I had to roll my eyes on it because I had all my equipment set up and I was going to get into it and I was about to get sound effects and all that different stuff. And my girlfriend was like, would you just put live on the camera and start your podcast? I was like, but I was studying. I was YouTube University and everything, trying to get this done and that done. I had microphones over here, speakers over there, this and that and that and that. And she was like, yo, you don't even need all of that. Just press go live, please, and go live for your podcast. And I was like, you know what? I couldn't say nothing because I had to eat that and go, you know what? You're right. Let me just hit that button and make it happen. And I'm grateful that I did, because right now I'm on episode 9 and I ain't gave y'all a sound effect except me. So you already understand, it's some relationships in your life requires you not to second guess yourself. Some relationships in your life will hold you accountable to the things that you say you're going to do, and you got to be all right with that. You got to be okay with somebody putting their foot to the hind parts of your spirit, if you will, so that you can continue to grow and be greater. Because this is something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to do media. It's just that now I get to do it on my own platform and talk about what I love talking about. I love talking about healing. Okay? I thank you for that. I love talking about healing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The other thing, now this isn't part of what I was going to lay out, but something that came to my heart right here, right now. What I have found in relationships, and when we get new relationships, a lot of time they're gauged off of, the energy is gauged off of what we need. What we either need, what we're requiring, or what we want. And we have to be mindful, because sometimes we can find ourselves in a place, like I remember there's a saying back in the days called Captain Save-A-Ho. Okay? This is a dynamic, okay, in relationships, where people find themselves in a relationship with somebody who it's as though it's not so much, how can I put this? So the person that we be playing the hero, right, would see that the other person needs something and believe that they're the superhero that's supposed to be there to give that person that need. When in actuality, that might not be your job. That might not be your divine calling to do that. I can tell you that because that was my faux pas back in the days, for real. And that's not what we're called to do. Because at the end of the day, that will drain the everlasting life out of you. So you have to find yourself in a healthy space so that you can have healthy relationships. My best relationships, honestly, my best and longest term relationships was when I found myself in a healthy space. When I was at my healthiest is when I got these relationships that I now have until today. I have a relationship with one lady, and I call her one lady. She gonna know who she is when she listens to this podcast. She is my oldest in age, and I want to say not my longest term dear friend, but she is my longest term dear friend. And I can say I can call her any day, and it's like we just spoke yesterday, and more than likely we spoke 2 days ago. But I'm just saying, and she's somebody I met when I was pregnant with my son, and my son is going to be 30 this year. And she is somebody I would never give up, because she was like a big sister to me when I don't have big sisters. I'm the oldest girl out of my siblings. And she's been a big sister to me this whole time. She correct me when I'm wrong, and she love on me. She love on me while I'm wrong as well, but she definitely gonna correct me, and I'm okay with that. Okay? I'm okay with that, because that correction has allowed me to grow. She helped me when it came time to me being a single mother raising my kids. Okay? She helped me in those times when I thought I was going to pull my hair out between them kids. And she would tell me, girl, don't pay that no mind. Sis, don't worry about that. Them kids love each other. Don't worry about they acting like they want to kill each other. Okay? You see what I'm saying to you? You see what I mean? So I get, so it's like, we have to really take the time to gauge, step outside of our situation sometimes to really see, how do we get into what we got into? How do we get this relationship, especially relationships that have hurt us, or we felt like they were hurting us, or we got hurt behind them, right? No problem. Or relationships where we felt like we got hurt behind them. We need to step back and really check ourselves as to where were we when we got into this relationship, whether it was a friendship, a boyfriend, girlfriend, a husband, wife. Where were we? And our family as well. Because a lot of times we don't realize we enable people without even realizing we're enabling people. We're enabling people to do the things that they do without even realizing that's what we're doing, because they're feeding off of it. They're feeding off of it. Like a fungus, they're feeding off of it. Like a parasite, they're feeding off of it. And we have to be the ones to stop it. We have to be the ones to pump the brakes on it and say, hey, you understand me now? If you have a relationship with God, I'm not saying He's going to stop you, but if you have a discerning spirit, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. It is thoroughly unfortunate. Yet in the long term, you have to now say, you have to stop and say, what can you do for yourself that you don't have to feel the pain behind that? Because I know that hurts. I know that hurts. But there's an area where you can take that pain and make it about power and not be stuck in a place of hurt behind it. Okay? So in there now, spiritual boundaries. Woo, baby. Woo. I want to give y'all some blueprint information about boundaries. I need to give you some blueprint information about boundaries. Spiritual boundaries. The one thing I dwell on and I thank God for is my spirit of discernment. What is the spirit of discernment? The spirit of discernment is the presence of the Holy Spirit within you, because if you dwell within God, God will dwell within you. And where it gives you what I call flags, right? And this is my year of not ignoring the flags, all right? And not all flags are red flags. There's some green flags, there's some orange flags, there's some yellow flags. But you got to know the flag for what it is when you come across it, right? But when it comes down to the spiritual boundary, we need to protect our faith by prioritizing our relationship with the Creator. If we prioritize our relationship, what hurts you can definitely make you stronger. No lies told. I share on that. But you have to make sure you're working on it so that it can be your strength and not be your weakness. Because what hurts you can also be your weakness. That's how a lot of people get stuck in abusive relationships. Because what hurts you can be your weakness if they know how to play on your hurt, if they know how to play on your pain, right? So you have to know how to figure that out and turn that around. Ask God to show you how to turn that around so that it can no longer be your pain, but be your power. Okay? So how it can be your power. That's what you got to do. And that's where your discerning spirit comes in. Because I'll tell you, I don't speak on a lot of things while my discerning spirit is telling me what it is. I don't need nobody to come and tell me what I already know. And what I think is funny, when people know that you have a genuine relationship with the Father, with the Creator, and they still play on you. That to me is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I just think I'm not even going to just say it's the stupidest or dumbest thing. And there's that right there. But it's not, why do people do that? If they know you have a genuine relationship with the Creator, that they would still want to play with you. I don't know. I don't got no answers to it, and I don't want to have the answer to it. All I know is that when you play with fire, you're bound to get burned. Right? Ain't that how it go? Okay. So when it comes down to your spiritual boundaries, I peeped that in your last statement about your pain. I peeped that in your last statement about your situation, your familial situation. I peeped that already. All right? Emotional boundaries. We are called to guard our heart. We are called to guard our heart by limiting emotional access to draining relationships. See, what a lot of people don't realize is when they begin to drain you and you recognize that you're being drained, that you know how to put a filter on your emotions so that draining cannot take place on a regular basis the way that it did. People don't understand that. People don't understand that's what you're setting yourself up for. You're setting yourself up for someone to separate themselves from you. You're asking for it. When you take someone's kindness for weakness, you take someone's love for stupidity, You take someone's love and look at it and say, oh, you take it for granted. That's the word I need right now. When you take it for granted, little do you realize that you are building the walls. You're building that filter of that person's emotions because they're finding themselves in a space where they just can't trust you. What do you do then? How do you break those walls down? From what I remember, it takes 2 years. What I understand is it takes 2 years for you to gain somebody's trust again. That's a long time. And I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of people out here that may not necessarily give you that 2 years to regain that trust factor again. Especially when we know how precious life is and how short it really is. There's a lot of people who won't give you that second, third, fourth, fifth time. They will not do it. And you cannot blame them for that because guess what? You poofed through the time that you had with them. You poofed through their emotions. Okay? And when I say poof, I mean just that. And the same applies for us. We shouldn't be finding ourselves playing around with people's emotions either. We shouldn't be taking anybody for granted either. Life is too short. All right? And then there are those personal boundaries. That's what I was just talking about. Personal boundaries. Protecting your time and your energy. And that's what that filter will do. That filter will allow you to protect your time and your energy. It'll allow you to realize, you know what? I've given this person a unlimited amount of my energy, an unlimited amount of my time, all in the face of love. I'm not going to do like Tina said, what's love got to do with it? Because love has everything to do with it. But it's not necessarily love of them. It's love of self. It's love of self. Okay? So, I'm going to go into tea time. It's time for tea time. I had a little bit more I want to talk about, but we ain't going to talk about it today. I'm going to talk about it in another one. We're talking more. Dang it, I missed that comment. We're going to be talking more about relationships this whole month because it's Black History Month. And what better way to talk about Black History Month than talk about relationships? Because if we don't know nothing, we know that there's some relationships out here that have broken us down, and there's some relationships out here that have built us up to be the kings and the queens that we are because we survived a lot of the trials and the tribulations of these relationships. Okay? All right. So let's talk about... I want to talk about the tea. Now, I'm not a licensed herbalist yet. Okay, just know it's coming. I put the disclaimer out there and it's going to be in there. So you do this, you take these teas and you do at your own risk, and you talk to your doctor, you talk to your healthcare professionals and the whole 9 yards. I'm going to put that out there, but I'm going to let you know what's been working for me. Okay, so this tea blend is called Strength and Restoration Tea, right? It is ashwagandha, holy basil, ginger, and cinnamon. Okay? And cinnamon. These 4 herbs is what I put into a tea. And I call it strength and restoration because it builds up my system as well as gives me a oomph of energy as well as a peaceability of my mind. The ashwagandha is a stress reliever. It helps calm, just like the holy basil does as well, right? And the ginger strengthens your digestive and it promotes clarity. Okay, it promotes clarity. And cinnamon helps to support the blood flow, which you all know we need that blood flowing to our brains and our minds and our heart factor. We need it all to be in alignment. Okay, we need it to all be in alignment. Oh, I can't wait till I talk to y'all about chakra. Ooh, chakra. All right. So what you do with this tea blend is I always recommend you get a tea bag. I like the cotton tea black non-bleached tea bags, right? You put that in there. I always say put a half a teaspoon of each one of those in a bag and you boil your water first, bring your water to a boil, and put it to the side in a cup, and then put your tea bag in there. Okay, that's how you should treat all of your herbs. Never boil your herbs because you're boiling out the nutritional value. You're boiling out all of the characteristical traits that are helping you, that you want to intake. Don't boil them out with the hot water, okay? And then you're going to steep it. Steep your tea for I steep my teas for at least 7 minutes. At least 7 minutes I steep them. And by then it's time for you to be able to sip on them. And you can sweeten them with, I need to get some. I use monk fruit. Okay, because monk fruit does not mess with your glycemic levels, as well as I understood that cane sugar is better to have I don't do white sugar. It's better to have than honey, but I do like my honey as well, okay, and your stevia. And what you do when you're drinking your tea, you're going to drink your tea and you're going to think about the relationships that you have. You think about the good relationships that you have, whether it be with yourself or with others. Think about the good relationships that you have. And then you need to think about those relationships that make you question whether or not they should still remain in your life. You need to take that time to do that. This is what this is all about. You're looking for clarity. You're looking to open up your mind, your spirit woman, your spirit man, as well as your physical mind and being, so that you can tap in and understand and get the nuances to understand what's going on around you and for you. Because if something isn't going to help you grow, it's going to drain you. It's going to drain you. You got to separate the wheat from the tare for yourself. Okay? And so that is tea time in terms of what you should be doing. Now, I got a journal prompt that goes with the tea time. What relationships in your life feel like alignment, and what feels like attachment? What feels like alignment and what feels like an attachment? Alignment means it's going in the ebbs and flows, the goods of all that you've got going on. And what seems like an attachment, like a parasite, okay? That's your journal prompt. That's your journal prompt, because I know I'm going to write. Yes, spending time with yourself. I'm a meditator. I love to meditate. I love to meditate, so I totally understand. I totally get that. Meditation is what I love doing. I love to meditate in the morning, and I love to meditate at night. Okay? All right? So that is what you do. So now, on this episode 9, Chronicles of a Broken Church Girl, we talked about relationships. Can they build you? Are they building you, or are they breaking you? Okay? That you have to figure out for yourself. God didn't place you in relationships to suffer. He did place you there to grow. Choose them wisely. Choose them wisely. Love intentionally and heal fully. Okay? That is the encouraging word that I can tell you right now. You see what I'm saying? It's important. It's important. It is totally important. All right. If you stay clear and stay close to this podcast, I want you to know you will learn. You will get some information from me, because I am here to share that information as best as I can. Okay. As best as I can through my experiences, through my studies. Okay. And through my participation with others as well. And that's a beautiful thing. So you know what I mean when I say that you are not alone. Because if you're a spiritual person, you know that you are not alone. Okay? All right? So I want to say to you all, thank you for being here with me, Femi, Sister Femi, of Chronicles of a Broken Church Girl podcast, where we talk about healing, and healing some more. Loving on ourselves and understanding how to heal. Okay, so you all continue to have an amazing day. I want to say thank you for tuning in with me. Make sure you come in and tune in with me next week. I am going to be having another interview this week. Oh my God, y'all. That interview last week was so amazing. I don't know if y'all caught it. We did it old school because somebody forgot to pin the windows. We ain't gonna say who that was, but apparently it was me. But it turned out to be a great interview nonetheless. And I can't wait. I'm going to interview that young lady again. I might even have her on here with me once in a while, once a month or something. We working on something right now just because I absolutely love her spirit. I love what she does. I love what she stands for. And it's an alignment. It's an alignment for me for what I'm called to do. So you all continue to have an amazing day, continue to have an amazing afternoon, all right, and have a blessed week. I want to say thank you again for being here with me, Sister Femi of Chronicles of a Broken Church Girl.